Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Defining Your Terms number 1, diversity. I remember well over 30 years ago, when I was sitting at Ohio State University in one of my very first communication classes, and that was my undergrad, communication. I remember the professor standing up and telling us that words have no meaning. That's why communication is so difficult. Words have no meaning. Well, think about this. I paid for college myself, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, if words don't have any meaning, what in the heck am I paying you people for? But then he explained himself. He said, you've got to define your terms. You got to define your terms. Words have no meaning because they have so many meanings. So if I use a certain word, then you've got to define that for the people that you're talking to. Otherwise, what you intended isn't necessarily going to be what they heard. As a result, any program that you ever put in place in your organization, you've got to define your terms. Otherwise, I promise you that program will not work because nobody's going to know what you're talking about. Like, for instance, what does it mean to be engaged? Well, the first thing you think of for most people is, well, I'm engaged to be married. That's what it means to be engaged. And this is one of my favorite examples because I see a real synergy here. It also means to go to war. So for some people, it means the exact same thing. Oh, I'm engaged, and oh boy, we're going to start fighting tomorrow. Okay, so it has two distinct meanings. Same thing with, what is a pound? Well, a pound is a currency. It's money. A pound is also a measurement of weight. It's a pound. It's also a verb. I'm going to pound somebody. So you better make sure that people understand the context and what it is that you're talking about. There are no programs on the planet where this is any more true than in your diversity programs. We've got to define our terms because we use all kinds of terms in our diversity programs, and everybody has all kinds of different meaning, and people end up getting offended. They don't buy into the program because they don't understand the program. Well, first and foremost, let's start with basic 101 from the very beginning. What is diversity? All right, very, very simple definition. Anything that makes you different. It's anything that makes you different. The problem that we get into is that too many people think of race. Well, that certainly is a diversity issue, don't get me wrong, but I can tell you right now, that is not the only diversity issue out there. Think of it this way, and remember, diversity is anything that makes you different. So let's say we put 5 white guys together, all in the same room. Doesn't look like you got much diversity there, is it? All right? Well, they're all thinking the same. Are they? How long is it going to be until these people are at each other's throats, disagreeing? If you put 6, 7, 8 white guys together, or until recently, 2 buildings full of white guys, how long is it going to be until they are at each other's throats? I'll tell you, diversity is anything that makes you different. It isn't just race. It isn't just religion. Now, those are big issues, but there are a lot of diversity issues out there. So if you don't think that diversity is your issue, then just pay attention a little bit and remember our definition. It's anything that makes you different. Like age. Age. And I'll tell you, in my practice, this is one of the biggest things that I see. There are all kinds of differences between us because of age. We're raised in different times, and I hear The older folks complain about these Gen Zers and Gen Yers and all kinds of stuff. And I hear about the younger folks that the older people are just old farts and all kinds. I'll tell you, that is clearly a diversity issue. How about nerds? How about nerds and the cool kids? The nerds and the cool kids. Is that a diversity issue? Oh, absolutely. And if you don't believe me, just look at our public schools. Look at the school shootings. The person who gets picked on is picked on because they're different. And a lot of times, if you spend your whole day playing Pokemon Go like these folks are doing, that's different to a lot of people. Diversity is anything that makes you different. Like the smart people and the stupid people. There are smart people out there. Never misunderstand that. And never misunderstand this. There are stupid people. That is a diversity issue. And we all have to live together. How about sports teams? Sports teams. Now, here we are having a good time with Michigan State, my wife and I, surrounded by all the Michigan Staters, and we were so confident, and then they basically kicked our butt. All right, so is this kind of ridiculous here? I mean, really, people take sports that seriously? There are almost 8 felonies for assault committed at every NFL football game. Are you kidding me? No, let me tell you right now, we're going to talk in some of the later podcasts. We humans are hardwired to form groups. And when somebody wears a different colored jersey, oh yeah, we're ready to kill them. How about religion? Oh my gosh, do we actually have freedom of religion? Well, we've got Mormons. Do you have a right to be a Mormon? Absolutely. How about Muslims like Dr. Oz? Well, yeah, there are a lot of Muslims out there. How about Jews? Like Albert Einstein. How about atheists? Like Charles Schultz? Or Hindus? Like Mahatma Gandhi? Or how about Catholics? Now, as soon as I say that, that kind of loses its sting a little bit, doesn't it? Catholics, well, who would hate Catholics? When John Kennedy ran for office back in 1960. Oh my gosh, that was a huge issue. Actually put the Pope in the White House? Well, you're not really putting the Pope in the White House. You're putting John Kennedy there, who happens to be Catholic. But you kind of see, what is diversity? It's anything that makes you different. I'll tell you, I think one of the biggest issues in America today are the haves and have-nots. In the world today, the haves and the have-nots. One of the biggest things that separates us is economic status, the economy. I'll tell you, it's awfully hard for very wealthy billionaires to relate to people who worry about making their electric bill. How about in your organization? Are there the haves and the have-nots? How about drug abuse? Drug abuse, that has really come home to roost in the 21st century. The opioid epidemic is out of control. It's a national crisis. There are cities in the United States where the coroners have run out of money because they are performing so many autopsies that there's no money to do anymore. So they have to go to the federal government. And these are not just folks that you have this stereotypical image of maybe homeless and poor. These are wealthy families where an injury has taken place and somebody got addicted on opioids. Ohio, the state I live in, leads the nation in fentanyl overdoses. How about transgenders? What is going to happen in your organization, not if, but when you get your first transgender person working for you? That's diversity, folks. How about people that are calm? Like Mother Teresa when she was young. Mother Teresa, calm, peacemaker. That's a type of difference. As opposed to somebody that has severe anger issues, like Bobby Knight. All right? I'll tell you right now, diversity is anything that makes you different. How about management versus labor? Employees, do they always get along with management? Does management always get along with labor? How do we treat each other? That is a strong difference. Anything that makes you different, the way you think, the way you look, the way you pray, those are all differences in diversity. And I want you to think about that definition before you move forward with your diversity program. Well, thank you for taking the time to go through this program with me. If you want more information on these types of topics, please feel free to go to my website at scottwarwick.com or shoot me an email at scott@scottwarwick.com.